Here's what you'll need in order to get started with this course. First, you're going to need the Corona SDK. The Corona SDK is available for both Mac and Windows. You'll need to register in order to download the SDK, but know that you can use it for free, and you only have to subscribe if you want to build for the device and use certain features. You can find the pricing under the pricing option at the home page. Know that I will be showing you most of the features that are available via the Corona Starter package, which actually you don't see in this particular table, but it's the default package, the one that's for free. There is one feature in particular, though, that is only available on the Pro package and higher, and that is the ability to use the premium graphics. So let me scroll down and show you. So premium graphics is the use of the fill property on display objects, and that actually is the way that Corona is going to use fills in the future. So you can actually use them within the starter package with the simulator, but you can only build to the device using the Pro package and above. You'll be able to use Corona fills in the simulator, but as soon as you want to deploy it to a device, you'll need the Pro subscription in order to do that. Now you can download the Corona SDK from the home page. This is the downloads page. I will be using a Mac throughout this course, and the version of Corona that I'll be using is the most current public build as of the recording of this course, and that is build 2189. Now some important things here. If you've used Corona before, there are some pretty important changes with this build. One is the replacement of the Storyboard API with the Composer API, and I go over that later in this course. Another is the use of fills via premium graphics, which again, I go over. And as well, there are some subtle API changes that I'll draw your attention to if they are meaningful and significant. Now, another thing that you'll need is the Corona documentation. The Corona docs are critical for getting through Corona and learning it. Even I, as an experienced Corona developer, still use the documentation. So have them handy. Especially you'll want to take a look at the SDK APIs. That's where you can look up any of the APIs that we use and get more information for them. One thing that's critical is notice that the current public release is always at the top of the page. So that way when you're looking at the API reference, you know which public release is relevant. Now, since we'll be focusing on iOS and Android development with Corona, you'll need either an Apple developer license and/or an Android developer license. If you're looking to build for either, you're going to need them eventually, and you'll also probably need a device, though much of what I'll show you can just be accomplished via the simulator. Now, we'll be working within a text editor. While I personally prefer Sublime Text, you can use any text editor that you like, depending on your preferences or the platform that you're working on. Finally, you should have some familiarity with a programming language or a scripting language. Most often, folks will come to this via the web or web development, and so that means they know a little bit of JavaScript. So, in case you don't have any familiarity, you could start from scratch with me, or you could check out the Learning JavaScript Programming training video in the Infinite Skills library. This is a really good course to get started with, just to have the basics of programming under your belt. Again, I do explain a good amount of programming as I go along, for instance, what a for loop is and how it works. But this isn't an intro to programming course. Instead, this is learning Corona through the crafting of a small application. So if you feel that you're struggling, feel free to go ahead, go back, do a little bit of the Learning JavaScript Programming course, or really any other programming title that's introductory in Infinite Skills, then come back and you'll be able to catch on. Finally, the last thing that you'll need that may seem a bit obvious and at the same time irrelevant is you will need an internet connection in order to take this course. Now, I don't mean in order to watch the videos. Instead, Corona will call back to its servers when you try to build an application, and in order to do that, it needs an internet connection. You can use the Corona SDK without an internet connection. That is possible. What I've noticed, though, it's a little bit slower because it tries to call home, it can't, and it can seem a bit unresponsive at times, as basically it's trying to suss out your internet connection. Best thing is have an internet connection when you're using Corona. And so with that, we'll keep going and we'll head towards creating a new application in Corona and getting started quickly.